Good evening. Welcome to the Village of Flossmoor and happy Black History Month. Every year in the Village of Flossmoor, we recognize history makers who are living and working in the village. And this year we will be recognizing Black leaders in not-for-profit spaces. So tonight I'm wearing my shirt, my We Matter 2 shirt in support of Destiny Watson, who is somebody who has done a lot of good for the village, and we will be looking forward to highlighting her and all of our local not-for-profit leaders. If you know of somebody you'd like to nominate to make sure that they're on the list, Stephanie Wright is right over there, or you can go online and fill out an online form. Just a few comments before a few reminders before we get started. This meeting is being streamed via Zoom for the convenience of those watching at home. Hello, everybody out there. Also, please, when I call your name for public comment, abide by our public comment policy, which includes but is not limited to introducing yourself with your name and address, acting with decorum, addressing the public body at large, not a single member of staff, and then also limiting your public comment time to 5 minutes or less for a total public comment time of 30 minutes. Today is Monday, February 3rd, and the time is 7:02. Clerk Gavel, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Bradley Scott. Trustee Daggett.
Here.
Trustee Driscoll.
Here.
Trustee Lawson. Absent. Trustee Mitros.
Here.
Trustee Mustafa.
Here.
Mayor Nelson.
President, thank you so much. We have a forum. Next up, I'm going to skip to citizens present wishing to address the board. And the first person I have that signed up is Jenny Curtis. Welcome.
My name is Jenny Curtis. I live at 608 Bruce. Good evening. Last village board meeting was held at an unusual date with very last minute notice. In fact, by the time I personally was aware there would be a meeting, it was within about an hour from the start of the meeting time. I was made aware by a social media post on the Village of Flossmoor site, which was time-stamped about 8 a.m. in the morning of the meeting. Due to algorithms, residents may not see the post for hours, like myself, or even days. It was very poorly advertised during a week of multiple ongoings in the community, including the Day of Service and the presidential inauguration. Because of the history, with this particular administration being less than transparent or forthcoming, it caused me to pause and immediately check the agenda, wondering if there may be a topic at hand that would be advantageous for the administration to tamp down resident awareness. Number 3 on the consent agenda for a 1/22/25 meeting caused me to pause as it was addressing policy on the ability for the mayor to call a state of emergency in our village. After reading the information in the agenda packet, I had a lot of questions. The definition for an emergency seems vague. Does peaceful protest allow the mayor to call a state of emergency? What are particular scenarios where the mayor can call a state of emergency? School shooting? A brick through a business window? After a resident is held at gunpoint and their car is stolen near a school? A water main break where residents may not be aware that their water could be contaminated? If ICE were to show up at a school or in a village? What is the oversight process? Who is the mayor accountable to? I'm hoping accountability goes beyond the village manager, as over these last few years, the manager's influence on the mayor has stirred up a great deal of questionable decision-making and lawsuits for our village. Trustees, are you looking into this matter? Who is holding these officials accountable now that you have all approved this new policy? Beyond last board meeting, while Flossmoor is a diverse community with different cultures, religions, ethnicity, able-bodiedness, gender identities, and a robust LGBTQ+ community, what is the local government and law enforcement entities doing to proactively protect the rights of residents and those who come here for various reasons, whether work, visiting friends and family, dining, shopping, etc.? The federal government has gone bonkers. They have sent ICE to deport immigrants with little oversight. They are attempting and succeeding in overturning civil rights, and essentially rights are being stripped away at rapid fire. While I love the flags hanging in downtown Flossmoor and the pictures and declarations of the love shared for our diverse community, those are performative pieces that will not hold up against the tyranny that is happening. HF High School, along with many other schools in Cook County, have implemented protocols for how they will deal with ICE coming for our students. Those protocols would likely need the backup of local law enforcement. What is the the protocol for the village of Flossmoor? When we boast of one Flossmoor, how does the HF high school policy show up as being supported by the Flossmoor PD, by the Flossmoor administration? Is there a protocol or policy being rapidly developed to support our community during this time when democracy is under fire and there is a very real threat to residents? Does the state of emergency powers somehow enhance the care for this community under these concerning circumstances? And let me finish with this. There are some who have been heard in the community making declarations of their own that they don't believe Flossmoor is really a target for ICE or some of these other very real threats. That is a privileged standpoint at best. Not only is that a misguided viewpoint, it is a very dangerous one. At such a time as this, what is the example our village is going to set? How are we showing our younger generations that standing up against bullying matters? How are we showing them that their safety and the safety of their families and friends matter? How are we showing them that racism does not belong here? History is a tale that repeats when not learned from. Flossmoor, I implore you to hold your officials to account and demand answers. How are the powers within this local government being utilized during this pivotal time?
Thank you so much. Next, I have Ms. Andrea Perry. Welcome, Ms. Perry.
Good evening. Andrea Perry, speaking as a Flossmoor constituent. Flossmoor losses, Richmond Park games. It was reported on October 24, 2024, the village settled the lawsuit with former Chief Jarrell Jones. The village agreed to pay Jones nearly $60,000. He was previously paid $56,000, about $56,000 in severance pay. The following is the joint statement issued to represent both Jones and the village of Flossmoor. Following extensive discussions, the village and Mr. Jones have come to an understanding regarding their respective viewpoints about the case. Plaintiff Jones has agreed to enter into an agreed settlement to resolve the case and to end the litigation in its entirety and allow both sides to move forward. Initially, the lawsuit asked for the mayor to issue a public apology and reinstate Jones as police chief. In September, Richmond Park hired Jarrell Jones to be its deputy police chief. For his swearing-in ceremony on September 11th, the Richmond Park board meeting hall and lobby were jam-packed with supporters, including a delegation of Flossmoor residents. According to the Daily Southtown's September 11, 24 article, Ron Austin, a Flossmoor resident and member of the Flossmoor Fire and Police Board, attended the Monday ceremony and said seeing Jones sworn in was restorative. It was very rewarding, Austin said. It just speaks to the man that he is. It speaks to his integrity and his commitment to do the right thing. And that's what I admire most. Austin, who said he became a close friend of Jones while he was a Flossmoor police chief, said he and Jones would have lunch together, sharing thoughts and ideas about how to improve the village. Unfortunately, he didn't have enough time to implement that, Austin said. According to the Homewood-Flossmoor Chronicle, in its article, supporters cheered Jarrell Jones at Richmond Park board meeting. Hazel Crest Police Chief Mitchell Davis offered comments in support of Jones's hiring. Davis is a Richmond Park resident and serves as the second National Vice President for the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, NOLA. The path may not have been the path that he thought he was going to be on, but the destination ended up being where he was supposed to be. David said, "We are here because this is just an amazing human being. You could not have made a better choice." Richmond Park Village Manager Reagan Stockstill said he had been working with Jones for going on 3 weeks and believes the village made a good choice. He thanked the Village Police and Fire Commission for its work. "Our process selected the best candidate for the position," he said. "We have a gem with us. His resume is impeccable, and he is a strong advocate of community policing, which I know this board has been demanding for in our law enforcement department. Flossmoor trustees Mustafa and Bradley Scott, who both voted against the motion to dismiss Jones as Flossmoor police chief, indicated they still support him. They picked a really great man, Mustafa said. He's capable. He's of highest integrity, and I think Richmond Park will benefit greatly from his working here. Our loss was their gain, Bradley Scott said. I know that great things are going to happen here. This room was full. People don't stand up for people they don't believe in. People don't stand up and put their names on the line and a reputation on the line for people who are not credible. It's disappointing that we failed to do our part. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Is there anything anybody would like to pull up for discussion? Seeing none, clerk Gilliard, please call the roll.
Trustee Bradley Scott? Yes. Trustee Daggett?
Yes.
Trustee Driscoll?
Yes.
Trustee Lofton is absent. Trustee Mitchell?
Yes.
Trustee Mustafa? Yes. Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Next up, reports of committees, commissions, and boards, and I'm going to call up the chair of the Community Relations Commission, Homewood-Flossmoor, Thompson, and the co-chair, or vice chair, sorry, Jackie Riffice, for a presentation on the MLK Day of Service. Also want to thank you all for your work. And we also have some Community Relations Commissioners in the audience. Can you stand up too and say hi to everybody? Thank you all for your work. Thank you all for your work over the new year. It was a great success. A lot of people, like 55, 60 people went through the library that day. We really appreciate you adding that to what we do here in the village. So welcome.
I was very humbled as we built this deck to share with you and the rest of the community. And I wanted to bring that humility along with me this evening, but on February 4th, the Chronicle wrote something about MLK Day of Service in it. And it goes like this. As usual, Flossmoor knocked it out of the park with its 10th annual MLK Day of Service event, which coordinates dozens of service projects in the village and surrounding communities. So my humility is gone, and we're going to just share what a great event. To our distinguished panel in front of me and the friends and folks behind me, the Community Relations Commission is proud to share some of the highlights of the 2025 Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Day of Service. We've been at this for 10 years, and over the last several years, we've cast a very wide net to find willing hosts who would offer projects that would change most everyone. MLK Day of Service is a springboard for other volunteer efforts throughout the year. As we've said before, volunteerism in Flossmoor is not a one-and-done thing. It continues year-round. Let me first acknowledge the work of the village staff. Thank you to our police, fire, and public works, our village administration, our park, district, and library, and the community relations commissioners, some of whom are here with us tonight. And we thank you to our personal dream team of Assistant Manager Jonathan Bowe, Community Engagement Manager Stephanie Wright, and the Communications Manager Colin Stanley. The MLK holiday is marked annually as a day of service and remembrance of the struggle for justice, equality, and the beloved community Dr. Martin Luther King made his life's work. The Community Relations Commission finds this to be inspiration. Participation, contribution, service, whatever you call it, we call it volunteerism. One of the better known benefits of volunteering is the impact on the community. Volunteers are the glue that hold the community together. Giving back allows us to connect, to have fun, to make the Southland a better place. Even helping out with the smallest tasks can make a real difference to the lives of people, animals, green spaces, and organizations in need. The London School of Economics examined the relationship between volunteering and measures of happiness in a large group of American adults. They found what Flossmoor already knows. It's called the happiness volunteered and had their input. As we move through this deck, I'd like to keep a few things in mind as I share the day's activities. First of all, smiling was contagious. Projects were multi-generational. There were more collaborations and community partnerships than ever before, and there were new and creative ways to give. We don't pay much attention to numbers, but you can see that we had multiple blood drives, 2 Girl Scout service units. We supported 3 pantries, 1 baseball and softball league, 3 environmental agencies, 2 Jack and Jill chapters, a wrestling team, philanthropic fraternities and sororities, all of our schools, National Honor Society, the commissions here in Flossmoor, and we had several new hosts as well. Backed by popular demand this year was Jack and Jill of America. Jack and Jill boasts 271 chapters, representing 50,000 family members making a difference in the communities nationwide. And we are very proud that 2 chapters continue to make their mark on MLK Day of Service with programs and partnerships that benefit the community. And we don't see that. The South Suburban chapter conducted a food drive, invited young kids and teens to dream by creating vision boards and hand-painted a mural that will be shared with the Jones Memorial Center. The Monarch Cities chapter collected food and hygiene products for 2 local charities, and they invited their members to join them to assemble packages for the Jones Memorial Center and New Life Centers. This Monarch chapter collected and donated 625 food items to the Jones Community Center and almost 1,000 hygiene products and blankets to New Life Center. Again, backed by popular demand is the Divine Nine. The 5th annual MLK blood drive was conducted by members of the Divine Nine. To be exact, they are the Chi Lambda Lambda chapter of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity and the Lambda Tau Omega chapter of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. I just love saying that. Who would think that donating blood and platelets would be so much fun? The music was blasting, the snacks were plentiful, and the love was there. It was just the place to be. Again, backed by popular demand is our high school wrestling team. What would Martin Luther King Day of Service be without our wrestlers heading up their Readers Are Leaders program? Returning for the 3rd year, HF's wrestling team partnered with District 153 for a day of bloody reading, while also collecting books to be donated to a high school in need. Coach Sobolowski and his wrestlers had a great time together with our future Vikings. And kids joined in as well. Girl Scout Service Unit 627 made no-sew blankets to benefit the Cancer Support Center and Project Envy. Service Unit 60194 collected hygiene products at the Homewood Science Center and then donated them to open access. Right here in Flossmoor, we had a mention of You Matter 2 and Founder Destiny 1. Charday Gray, whose back is in the picture on the right, is an HF grad who was on assignment by CBS News Chicago, and she filmed Nikki Brookins and her team. Charday's story from the 5 a.m. news that evening. Another one of our fan favorites in part of Charday's story was Bricks of Hope, posted by village clerk Gina Lagello. Bricks of Hope is very personal to Gina, as she collected boxes of Legos for hospitalized kids around Chicago. I stood there while police and fire, the Dartmouth Block residents, friends, neighbors, and strangers dropped off box after box. Gina was also featured in Charday's news that evening. Gina and the Bricks of Hope collected a record amount of Legos this year, totaling 150 sets of Legos. Back with another fan favorite is the classical music concert. Mayor Nelson's concert presented at Flossmoor Community Church is back again this year with 4 talented musicians from the Music Institute of Chicago. They explained what they were playing and asked us to see, not hear, what the composer wanted us to see. Annual donations were collected for the Center for Food Equity and Medicine, also housed at Flossmoor Community Church, and I understand the funds exceeded $2,500. One of my personal favorites, the Community Relations Commission, invited the community to prepare kits to benefit unhoused and at-risk individuals. Thanks to the generosity of the Flossmoor Fire Department Fund and the Flossmoor Service League, we were able to fill 100 kits with hygiene products, snacks, warm gloves, socks, and a blanket, and they were all donated to Respond Now. And while I said earlier that everyone had a smile on their face, if you look at the 2 youths on the right side and the left side of the pictures, they had their serious faces on. They had fun, but we had official sock counters that had to help us through. Sunrise Flossmoor and Olympia Fields were back again this year. Olympia Fields collected baked blankets and hot tots for Alameda Hospital and the Ronald McDonald House. The residents made cards for hospital staffs. Flossmoor set up this terrific assembly line, and the residents filled mason jars with dry soup mix. 3 dozen jars were delivered to Bethel Community in Chicago Heights. Philip and I visited both sites, and it was just joyous to see how excited the residents were and how much love and respect the staff members showed them. And then we have birds and baseballs. What is that? The community's commitment to environmental stewardship can't be overlooked. The Iron Oaks Initiative prepared seed balls again this year and seed packets for spring planting. And believe it or not, for some reason, we had 20 folks that went to the Sandridge Nature Center in that below zero weather to help pick up debris along the trail. But if there was a prize for the most creative environmental project, it would go to what we call the Bird Project. And a little background on that. Chicago lies in the migratory path of over 300 species of birds, making it the most dangerous city in the country for our Indian friends. In one night alone in 2023, almost 1,000 birds struck a corner place on Chicago's lakefront. Holly Greenberg, a printer and painter known for her large art installations, is going to be creating a carpet of birds running over 3 football fields in length. And the installation will be called Bird Collisions in the Anthropocene. Using upcycled cloth and donating materials to create the birds, she invited groups to help with the project through public workshops. The Green Commission heard the bird call, pardon the pun. It's a perfect project for puns. In an effort to raise awareness about one of the leading causes of bird deaths, residents made replicas of birds killed by window collisions. The Green Commission likes to fly under the radar, another pun, but their project simply soared, oh my gosh. They provided cloth birds and asked participants to make them come alive. Here's a before of the cloth birds that were at Wiley's. And then here's an after of some of the creativity that artists, young and old, did. So we thank the Green So that takes care of our birds, not about baseball. One of our summer pastimes became an MLK project courtesy of Flossmoor Baseball and Softball. Jim Green and the Flossmoor Firebirds collected youth sport equipment to donate to teams in communities with special needs. In partnership with Leveling the Playing Field, equipment will be distributed to expand access and provide equity within youth programs, youth sports, rec programs, and others in under-resourced communities. Many collection stations were set up around town, at the library, at our school, at the baseball pavilion. And the best news to me is he's going to do it again next year. These are some, but not all, of what we did in the weekend of the MLK Day of Service. What we showed you is only a part of the goodness that we know will continue through the year. I envision a PBS documentary or at least a high school documentary, Netflix, about how a little village took volunteer spirit and elevated it to an art form that reached well beyond our 3.66 square miles of land. To close, let me remind you of what I said when we opened. Smiling was contagious. We saw lots of teeth that weekend. Projects are multi-generational. It's important to us as community relations commissioners and community connectors to see millennials, Gen Zs, boomers, and alphas come together to do good. There were collaborations and community partnerships. Public buildings and businesses opened their spaces. Churches and nonprofits partnered together. We should not underestimate the value of these relationships and their generosity of spirit. And thanks to birds and baseballs, creative and unique projects upped our game just a little bit more. Because Martin Luther King dreamed of a beloved community is not fully realized, we are thankful for the hundreds of volunteers who pitched in across the Southland. Your volunteer spirit answers the question Dr. King asked 68 years ago. What are you doing for others? Thank you.
We also have a few project hosts here with us today. If you hosted a project for MLK Day of Service, would you please stand up and be recognized? Yes, Kathy. She's going to make me pay her.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jackie, for that wonderful presentation. I just want to say that when she says smiles were contagious, it started for us on Friday, and it did not end until Monday. My jaws was hurting, but it was a good hurt. And so we can't wait to see what the village is going to do with the MLK Day of Service in the future. So I want to read a letter. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude and appreciation for Jackie Riffice, dedicated service to the Community Relations Commission. As Jackie steps down from her role on the commission, it is important to acknowledge the lasting impact she has had on our village. I would like to take a moment to reflect on I would like to take a moment to reflect on and acknowledge her remarkable contributions to our community while serving as a commissioner. Jackie has been a steadfast advocate for fostering strong and meaningful relationships within Flossmoor. Her leadership in spearheading the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service has transformed it into a cornerstone initiative for Flossmoor. Under her guidance, this program has grown significantly, and she has developed an excellent template that will serve as a roadmap for future growth and success. Jackie's efforts toward building relationships, creating opportunities for collaboration, and fostering connections within our community have set a high standard. Jackie always sought to cast a wide net to see who else we could engage in our effort to build community relations. These contributions will continue to enhance relationship building and strengthen the sense of unity within our village for years to come. And so on behalf of myself and many others who have witnessed her dedication firsthand, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Commissioner Jackie Riffice for her extraordinary service to the village of Flossmoor.
I've taken more from the community, so thank you. Thank you.
I also at this time would like to acknowledge the work of Nicole Castagna and Stephanie Wright. Flossmoor, we have the best folks working on the south side. The best. As a token of our appreciation for your dedication and work in MLK Day of Service, meaningful and impactful, we would like to present them with a small token of appreciation. Your efforts in helping to bring the community together and honoring Dr. King's legacy through service truly makes a difference. Thank you for your commitment and your passion. We are grateful and appreciate all that you do.
Before we move on to the next item of action, I just want to echo the thanks to Jackie Riffice for her work as vice chair and as a commissioner on the Community Relations Commission. I will never forget our trip downstate to present for the governor's hometown award in the snackle box that she brought along to make sure that the driver was alert at all times. For those of you who don't know what a snackle box is, it's a tackle box filled with snacks, and there was a perfect compartment for every snack, and that was, she turned me on to chili mangoes. They're amazing. But anyway, we had a really fun time. If you haven't seen one of Jackie's binders or spreadsheets, you're missing out, and I'm glad you brought the binder tonight, because that is so you. But she's very organized, she's left her mark, and she's done amazing work. I hope that this does not mean that this is the end of cocoa. I hope that you will come back and work with us and
I left the recipe. Stephanie.
don't be a stranger.
We know where she lives.
We know where she lives. Exactly. And with that, I'm going to open it up to the rest of the board for any comments they want to make on the presentation for the MLK Day of Service or Jackie's service, Commissioner of Business Service. Trustee Taggart.
Yep, thank you. Excuse me. So, one of my favorite phrases is actually kind of used in the military a lot, but I think it has a lot more application. It's force multiplier. My loose definition of that is a component or asset that's added to an organization or group that when it's added to it, the impact that they have multiplies the force exponentially on what their abilities were before they were added. When you look at Flossmoor, before Community Relations Commission really got involved and took over the Martin Luther King Day of Service, and you look at it now, you guys are a force multiplier. There's no way it would be what it is today if it wasn't for you guys. Then when you put on top of that component that you guys are some of the most caring, passionate, feisty people that we have in this village, which is good. Then it just makes it golden. So I really appreciate all the work that you guys have done. Everyone who's been a part of the Community Relations Commission. Jackie, you were the first Community Relations Commissioner that I actually talked to outside of Dunnings. We sat down for like 45 minutes, I think, like almost 4 years ago. And she's one of the most engaging people and very passionate about what you care about. So thank you so much for bringing that to the village for the length of time that you did. And again, you know where you live. So, but thank you guys so much for everything you did for Martin Luther King Day of Service. It just keeps getting better and better.
Thank you. Trustee Bradley Scott.
Thank you. I had to echo Trustee Daggett's sentiments. I know that all of the village looks forward to Martin Luther King Day of Service, and they look forward to pitching in. So you all have created an atmosphere where people look to get engaged, they look to be of service, and so we thank you for the contributions that you've made to the community. But not only that, we thank you for bringing your best to the table each and every year with your organization, with the way you communicate and interact with the public. There have been nothing but fantastic things said about the deliverance of the Community Relations Commission, and I believe that is because of who is at the helm. You two are a dynamic duo, and I am excited to see what is going to become of our next ventures with the Community Relations Commission. And thank you, Jackie, for your contributions to the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Trustee Mustafa.
Thank you, Jackie. I had the honor and the delight, talk about lots of smiles, of working with Jackie when I was on the commission, and I continue to learn from her and admire her in so many ways. One of the qualities that really strikes me that I don't think has been mentioned is humility, and Jackie tried to be, well, you tried to be humble, but you were overwhelmed by the magnitude and accomplishment that you had. But I want to bring you back to humility because that's what I really love about you, that you stand for what you say what you stand for, you look out for the greater good, you think about others, and if it's not good for the whole, then you're not for it. So passion, humility, excellence, all that good stuff. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you. Trustee Makers.
I'd just like to say we're gonna miss you greatly on the board. You guys have done a wonderful job. And it is, it's exploded, like everyone has said up there. It's become a big event every year, more than just, a day of service. That's a huge event I think everyone looks forward to. And as far as Stephanie and Brian, it's not just the South suburbs. I would say any community would love to have any of you guys, because you all do such a good job throughout the year. Thank you, all.
Thank you. Trustee Crystal.
I just want to say thank you to Stephanie and Jackie, did your excellent job. When I first became a trustee 8 years ago, these folks really poured their hearts into it, and it was a great idea that we came up with 10 years ago. But as Gary pointed out, it's just growing every year. It continues to grow, and that's under your auspices. So great job. Let's do it again next year.
Thank you so much. We're moving on to action items. Can I get a motion to approve the adoption of the Community Relations Commission purpose and intent?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you so much. And here to present is the Jonathan Bowe. And our Assistant Village Manager is and Philippa Leon Thompson, Chair of Community Relations Commission.
So today we're talking about the adoption of the Community Relations Purpose and Intent. Let me start by saying that this process that was gone through for this update was organic, chairperson, vice chairperson, and what you can appreciate about this compared to the same way you appreciate MLK Day of Service is there is a process. So when both Philippa and Jackie and the commission wanted to discuss this, these were heated but respectful conversations that happened by the commission over a period of time to get to where we are today. And Philippa, our chairperson, has handled these meetings so well, and so with respect to everyone who's in them at all times, that I am grateful for her leadership on this commission, and Jackie, and the conversations we had for this commission. So I turn this over to our chairperson, the CRC Philippa, to introduce and answer any questions you may have.
Thank you.
Thank you. A clear and relevant purpose and intent statement is essential to ensure that any organization or advisory body operates effectively within its designated goals. Over time, the original purpose and intent of the community relations became outdated. Additionally, it did not provide clarity for our new commissioners. It no longer accurately reflects our duties and objectives, and and are assigned to us by the municipal code. We are an advisory board. We recognize that. Our role is defined within the municipal code's framework. And it is of importance that our purpose and intent aligns with those responsibilities and our duties. To better reflect the mission of our village and ensure consistency with the municipality regulations, the CRC has updated its purpose and intent. This revision brings clarity to our role, strengthens our ability to fulfill our duties, and ensure we remain aligned with the expectations set forth by the governing code. The updated document provides a more precise foundation for how we serve our community. Our aim is to get it right. To accomplish this, we have had input from all CRC commissioners who are experts in many areas. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you to our village partners, especially our village assistant manager, Jonathan Wolf, who I honestly think I gave way too much homework to while we were working on this. So thank you so very much for your patience as we went through this. A lot of patience. I am especially thankful for and would like to give special recognition to our residents. We had some residents present that provided some input. Trustee Scotland, Troy Holmes, Cecil Porter, and Eric O'Brien. We thank them for their valuable input during our discussions, ensuring we continue to be a commission that recognizes all diversities, including the LGBTQIA+ community. So thank you for being present, and thank you for your input. With that then, I am asking our village leadership to adopt this change in our purpose and intent with a positive vote. This will ensure this advisory board operates within the boundaries set by the village municipal code.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your thoughtful work on this matter, and also taking the time to make sure that it was done the right way, truly representing all of Flossmoor and putting a highlight or an exclamation mark on the fact that everyone can make a difference. So thank you for doing that. With that, I will ask for discussion from trustees. I will call on trustee Brad Scott first. Any questions?
I just wanted to know, in terms of your community involvement, when you look towards the community for engagements such as the events that are put on, do you all track that engagement in terms of community involvement? So, as an example, we have our new resident event. Do we track how we're doing in terms of getting our residents or people out to our community events from the CRC?
We do follow-up surveys, sometimes follow-up phone calls. I think that that's what you're asking. And they provide feedback to us, and based on that feedback, we try to make up.
And in terms of engagement, generally speaking, so we look at how we trend year to year for community outreach events, some that are multipliers that we're doing every year, sometimes we do new things. Are we trending or tracking some of those numbers as well?
As Jackie stated, we tend to not necessarily count numbers. We do look at the feedback that we get from residents. Most of the things that we do is to try to bring the community together. And so we don't want to erase those things. If, say for instance, our first Lunar New Year, we didn't get a large crowd, but the third Lunar New Year, we continue to grow. So we don't tend to push something aside just because we didn't have or don't have the growth that we want to see right away. We continue to work at it, try to improve it, try to get feedback from not only the commissioners, but from the community as well, to make it better.
Trustee Brandon Scott, we also, for different events like the new resident event, we do track how many people show up, and we know that there's a downward trend over the last 3 years. from that one that was that big combined new resident event. So we're always looking at those numbers as well to see if it's the time of year, the offering, the weekend, all those different factors to see how we can improve the event as well, whether, to make it most approachable. But those are conversations that happen as well with the CRC. So, thank you.
Yes, I really appreciate everything that the Community Relations Commission does, because you all are the outward-facing face, if you will, to the village, and so your representation there is very important. In terms of the participation on the commission, it seems like we have some new members and so forth, so we'll see some more activity there. Do you plan on being more interactive with the village board in terms of reports and so forth as part of your intent and interaction?
So,
We love to see you.
that is not up to us. That is up to this leadership. Our purpose and intent is derived from the municipal code. It is Article 10, and it talks about our duties. And so we try to align with those 3 bullet points. And that's not there unless they are asked to do that.
Thank you. Thank you for the report.
Thank you. Trustee Mustafa.
There was so much respect in the meeting that I attended, indicative of the respect that has occurred throughout the process of creating this final document. Very refreshing and a model, I believe, for other discussions and document creation like this. Thank you to Commissioners Riffice and Thompson for measured and balanced leadership that acknowledges contributions respectfully. All of us sat there saying, wow, this is pretty cool. Everybody was listening. Thank you so much. I see Molly nodding her head. That means a lot. Thank you. I'm glad I was there for the last iteration.
Thank you. Trustee Myers.
Believe it or not, Perry Hogan and I started the CRC. Peggy Glasper, going way back, wanted it. You remember Peggy? And the trajectory of the CRC has been fantastic. It's never stopped. And since you and Jackie have kind of been in charge, it was just like lit, like a rocket. And you're doing such a good job. And I really think that, this is the model for any community. You guys have kind of crafted that, and I think the community owes you guys a lot, and I applaud you, and just thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you. Trustee Driscoll.
Yeah, I read over the updated purpose and intent, and the last time this was amended was during COVID. We didn't really have a lot of discussion on it. I think it was kind of trying to capture and try to do too many things. And I really think you streamlined it and got the right language in there, so I applaud you.
Thank you. Trustee Day.
Yeah, so I was able to, from time to time, I'll just randomly visit a commission meeting, just so that I kind of, what's it like, what's going on? And I happened to come to a meeting where this was a huge part of the discussion. I think I actually got myself in trouble. But it was a great meeting because it allowed me to see how much passion was behind what you guys were trying to accomplish. So to see that conversation happen that night, to see all of the work that you put into this, to get this revision, I really appreciate that work. And I think some of the things that, just to highlight in my mind, is down where it says the role of the Community Relations Commissioner. Advise the mayor and board and trustees of ways in which the community can work together for the benefit of the entire village. And then the last one, you kind of bookended it, is advise ways in which the village can ensure inclusivity when planning community events and celebrations. I think those are so key. And I think it's incumbent on us as a board to make sure that we're giving you guys the opportunities to give us that advice. And I think that's one of the things I took from the meeting that I was at, is it's like we have a race car in the garage. It's just like, come on, give me something. We want to go, we want to do this. We got to give you the opportunities for it. So I appreciate this framework. I appreciate the hard work in this update. And I think now, as a board, what we have to do is make sure we're giving you the opportunities to do what we want to do, which is help us in our relation with the community, because that's so key, especially when we have a community as diverse as ours. That can bring a lot of complications. So having the CRC to help us navigate that is critically important. So hopefully as a board, we can do a great job of making sure that this can be utilized and you can be utilized the way that you really want to and the way that you're passionate and experts. So thank you so much for this.
Thank you. If there's no other questions, clerk Gazzo, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Dagger.
Yes.
Trustee Driscoll.
Yes.
Trustee Lofton is absent. Trustee Mitro.
Yes.
Trustee Mustafa.
Yes.
Trustee Bradley Scott.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next up is a discussion item, presentation from Retail Coach on retail recruitment. And I have Caleb Wilson here from Retail Coach to present. Welcome.
Okay, awesome. Well, I will just initially acknowledge that the community here is amazing, so I appreciate being here and hearing more from you all. So acknowledge that. I also am not a master of puns, so I don't have any of that prepared. We'll start. So a little bit of background. My name is Caleb Wilson, project manager at Retail Coach. We are a retail recruitment firm that partners with communities all across the U.S. We started 25 years ago when our founder realized that there wasn't a bridge between developers and retailers to the communities that they wanted to be. So he created the company, and ever since, we continue to create community around new retail and development, but doing it right, in so many efficient way we do. So here in the village of Flossmoor, it's been a unique way to understand feedback on kind of the Southland in general, understanding where the trade areas kind of mesh together, understanding where future retail development could be, especially here in the village. So, when we look at it, we focus on a couple of different areas. Obviously, there's a large focus on the southwest side of Flossmoor, and we'll be talking a little bit about that mostly today. But we also want to look at regional development as well, regional brands, but ultimately doing it correctly. So we don't want to just go as your run-of-the-mill retailers or restaurants, whatever it may be. We want to be strategic on how we approach them. So that's what we've done since the beginning of the partnership. A couple ways we do this. So between myself and my partner on the project, Aaron Farmer, who's been with the company for 18 years. I've been with the company for 3. I've done industrial tenant rep and commercial tenant rep before I came here. We use our network among brokers, developers, etc., to build these connections and pair that with what's best for the community, in this case, Homewood-Flossmoor, to build upon that. So we do it in those ways. We also go to a lot of trade shows throughout the year, specifically focusing on the Midwest region for the Flossmoor. Initially, what we did, just give a little bit of background. Some of this we may have talked about as a group before, but just wanted to give a little bit of the story of how we got here. So when we look at retail development, retail could be retailers, it could be restaurants, it could be hospitality, it could be entertainment. All of that together encompasses retail. So when we look at it today, the way that those groups look at it is looking at a trade area. So when we look to create a trade area, we've taken cell phone data, whether you like it or not, it's tracking you now. And we use that data actually, and most developers these days and brands use it to identify new sites for their brand expansion. So in that, we've done that and reverse engineered it for creating a trade area for Flossmoor. So in this trade area, We've gone in and taken a couple of relocations within the village and understood where that population is and we've drawn a map around it. Hard to see it there, but we've created a number of reports that dig down into the depths of the demographics. Because believe it or not, a lot of these brands, they've got their sweet secret sauce, right? So they appeal to a specific consumer, and a lot of them look at many different metrics, and so we give them and have done all that information for them in the event that they need those questions answered. Specifically, the population on the previous map is just at 140,000, just under. And that's your reach here to Homewood-Flossmoor. So that's your retail trade area, that's your primary base customer that you're on a regular basis serving. So again, just wanted to give a little bit of background as to how we got here. There's a number of reports that we've done. We've done demand outlook as well for what you have demand going forward in certain sectors. Use that to ultimately create a target list of retailer brands and developers to go after. In a nutshell, that's how we got here. So just wanted to give that, and then wanted to just give an update to the board, and maybe Nelson as well, to just kind of where we are today, and to just some of the feedback we've gotten so far. So I am going to point a little bit more towards the southwest side of Flossmoor, just because it does provide the most flexibility. The village staff and over a very long time has taken initiative to acquire land, and it's a very smart move for a lot of different reasons, because you can tailor new development in the right way going forward. So, quality versus quantity. I spoke about it a little bit. We could have gone after very low-hanging fruit, fast food restaurants, whatever, what have you, on the Flossmoor, the Balmer Road frontage there. But instead, since we began, we understood the vision from those staff, and what we're hearing is that we wanted to go after quality development and quality retail. So that's been our focus ever since we started, and we intend to continue to do that. But it's got to be the right mix. So a lot of these brands go together. We want to make sure that they're complementary assets next to each other. For example, entertainment. When you look at an entertainment brand, we do like to be next to specific brands of restaurant and what have you. So it's important to make sure the right mix is in there. You're looking at building a concept plan for the development. So I put a bunch of bullet points up here. I'm going to kind of bounce around between a few of them. And just give some honest feedback as to what we've gotten so far. So there is a good amount of land there. It's about 50 acres around the mire. It does provide a lot of flexibility for developers looking at a mixed-use project. The issue is kind of in this area. There may not be much density, but the good news is you've got a ton of traffic going through there. You're minutes away from 57, that's 80,000 cars a day. It's an excellent regional location. It just needs the right partner to build a vision on it, right? So that's what we've been on the hunt for. For the casual restaurant side, it's been that the trade profile in Flossmoor isn't as in depth yet. When you look at Homewood or Tinley Park, there are a lot of other brands there that they can basically build a proof of concept because they know that those brands have performed well, right? So, that's been a little bit of a battle with some of those casual restaurants, and then especially for entertainment, not knowing that other restaurants, for example, are there already. They like the lifestyle piece of it. So, an entertainment brand, they're going to want some sort of lifestyle piece, a reason for people to stay there, and so ultimately it's marrying it all, right? So it's understanding, if we've got somebody, a big anchor, a big draw of a brand, and we want to continue to pair those conversations with those who go together. So synergy and co-tenancy have been a little bit of an issue. The Meijer is candidly not the highest performing grocery store in their chain, so But I'll point to here in a second that we think that that's probably on the upside. So, I mentioned self-funded earlier. Again, hard to see, apologies. But it's a self-funded traffic trend between, I think it's July of 23 to September 24. You can see that slope progression, and if you look at the last quarter of last year, it's even higher of an increase in the quarter. So I think it's just at 68 or so thousand on an average basis, on a monthly basis, and that's only going to continue to increase. So good news is that's on the uptick. It's not a declining location, so I think as far as future development there, you can see progress in sales from that location. So me getting a little nerdy into it, apologies, but it is important to note those things as we look for development on there. So we have listed this as well. So as far as our reach to developers, retailers, and brands, we have it listed online. I'll post our LoopNet. This is typically some of the more unique calls that we get just from different groups around the U.S. Obviously a large national reach there. But just in the last 6 months, we're at over 5,000 views on the page. But this is exactly what we want to do. We want to make sure that it's getting out to everybody, but then we can qualify the groups that we speak with going forward. So today, what's actually happening? So there has been a developer that we're working with along the entire frontage in between the Meyer gas station and Duncan and Baskin Robbins. So again, now where we have a couple of groups that are interested. It's building them all together so that we can potentially do it all at the same time. Because I think it's important to aesthetically build the development around each other. So facades need to be high quality together. They need to be, it's a very large focal point within the village. It's very visible. We want to make sure that those brands are high quality. And we can continue to build upon the initial interest that we have. We do expect an LOI from another group, one of their next to the Meyer, anytime now as well. So again, for us, it's retail recruitment's not an event, it's a process. And so we've started in the beginning with the baseline, and we've continued to build from here. And I think we're in the perfect position to continue to see development here in the near future. So, and now that we've got a couple of groups interested, we're going to go back on some of the casual restaurants that we've revisited before that needed some of that synergy, look at some new ones. We've spoken with the developer as well, but probably it's at the list that we originally started with. Maybe look at some new brands that maybe we didn't catch the first time. So again, I think it's going to be aggressive, but it's being particular about how we go after these groups. So in essence, that's what we're looking at today. But I think there's some great progress there along the frontage. So other development I want to just quickly touch on is Flossmoor Commons. That is a large shopping center that you have at your access as well. It does lack national restaurants and retailers in the center. Candidly, it's a great neighborhood center. It does have good qualities in that way. The subway, for example, does extremely well. But today, when we look at a national brand perspective, national developers, it's not their highest focus. But it is well kept, and it is a good center. I'm sure, but it just makes more of a redevelopment play. For regional retail restaurants. So just wanted to acknowledge that. And the traffic there is great as well. Definitely keep that as a focus too. Touch briefly on us going to trade shows. This is extremely important for us. Thankfully, we've had village staff there at the show before. The market's been very open to speaking with community leaders as of late, probably in the last 5 to 10 years, I would say, because it's important to these groups and these developers to get through the permitting process, to get through zoning in an efficient way so that they're able to get speed to market. So it's important to have that visibility and that transparency and have staff there with us, so we appreciated that. But these are just some of the shows that we go to. Even down in Dallas, there's brokers, developers there that have national reach that we speak with there. So we continue to represent the Village of Flossmoor at those shows. We'll continue to do so this year in Vegas. The other thing I didn't put on this presentation is the spaces next to Flossmoor Station. I think that we probably want to revisit a little bit of that as well. I think that there's some opportunity to look at some regional grants for those spaces too. Our goal is never to run out small business. It's us to build upon it, so to build upon what's already great existing in the community. But it's never our intention to overpower what's already working. So again, I think we're in a position. I just wanted to give you a little bit of updates to where we are today, and just looking forward to continuing to build what we have.
Thank you so much. So 4 years ago when I started in this role and started attacking the market, trying to find developers to come to the village, it was a season for warehouse space. Everybody wanted to pop up warehouses, and that's what was going up, and you see it. That's what was going up all around the South End. And we said, no, thank you. Then we had a national broker who represented us for a short amount of time, and it was short because his idea of economic development was oil change and cargo retail, and we said, no, thank you. So actually, Trustee Mustafa came across y'all at a convention downtown, and we started talking, and thought that you'd be a great fit for helping us create a plan, a program, because our previous efforts weren't working. And an important part of that plan was cell phone data and creating an economic development webpage so that prospective business owners would have more information on the Village of Flossmoor, so that way they could make an informed decision on whether or not they would be here. And I encourage everybody to go to the village website, flossmoor.org, and check out our economic development page. There's a Retail 360 that Retail Coach put together that has been instrumental in attracting these discussions with developers and also retailers, so thank you for that. Also, listing all of our properties on LoopNet has also been a huge help, so thank you also for that. And then, as you said, having me with you at these trade shows, it is helpful because nobody knows staff. Caleb doesn't, but I know staff, and I can sell the ease of the process of coming into the village to these prospective business owners and retailers. Scott Budner, who's at the back of the room, he's our director of building. Working with him is a dream. We're very lucky to have him. We're also very lucky to have Bridget Wachtel, our village manager, and also Kathy Orr, our village attorney, who's not here with us tonight, but she is here, but just not here. But knowing that those folks who are so integral in the process are so easy to work with is also another thing that is very attractive to future retailers. So we started this relationship approximately 2 years ago. It's not an instantaneous thing. It is a process, as you pointed out, and we appreciate your help with the process. I think you've laid a lot of groundwork that has been crucial for us moving forward, and I'm very excited about the developments on Homewood Road, especially that are coming up. So thank you so much. With that, I'm going to take questions, starting with Trustee Crystal. Any questions or comments?
No questions. I know that since you've been involved, we've got a different focus. It's on the right approach. It's the right kind of mesh. What we're looking for in Flossmoor, we're not going to get a mattress store over there on Homewood Road. I know some of the things that are in the works, I should say, and I think residents are going to be very happy with what's going on. So I applaud you, keep doing what you're doing, and
Thank you, trustee Henry.
Yeah, thank you for coming and presenting. And, you know, I do commercial real estate, and one of the biggest things that I have to do is manage the expectations of the individuals involved, whether they're wanting to develop it or trying to sell it. The amount of time it takes to do it right. And to speak to the mayor's comment about some previous representation we had, the quick, easy stuff doesn't fit our community. Yeah, we can throw these things out there, but it's not what the community wants. So that makes it even sometimes a little bit more elongated. But when you do the economic development correctly, and I appreciate all the detail you gave us about all the moving parts of matching the right, because what you don't want to do is bring in a business and then shut down 2 years later because it's not supported. So having that plan of let's get a symbiotic relationship with all of these businesses where they're going to this one and they're hitting that one and they're doing this one, your whole Saturday is spent there. I think that's key. So I appreciate the work with that. It does take time to get these things done. So thank you for the effort. Thank you, Trustee Mustafa, for finding them and bringing them to us, because I think it's been a huge benefit to start getting our focus in the right place with our economic development that we're trying to bring in. So I appreciate the update, and yeah, I'm excited about some of the potential things that are coming up as well.
Thank you, trustee Brenda Scott.
Thank you for the presentation. It definitely was helpful to hear all the ingredients that go into the planning and navigating the dating of different opportunities. And so in terms of small towns like ours that are, between other opportunities you spoke about, Halsted and Tenwood Park as examples, small towns that are looking to make their mark in this climate, what is the outlook? If you were able to tell the folks here, we kind of have some things on the table, looking to entertain some things, what is the outlook that you kind of tell small towns like this?
Well, specifically here, you're trying to build a legacy, right? So we want to see those businesses be there for decades to come and to be that destination, for your kids, right? So I think the groundwork has been laid and it's being laid. You've done a very smart thing by acquiring property. It doesn't matter if you're in Chicago, it doesn't matter if you're in Texas, California. It's important for a crazy reason to do that, to be aggressive and to be smart about the next move there. So I applaud staff for that. I also applaud, them for being just so open. I think that it's very inviting whenever you speak to staff here, anybody that's interacted with the developer, the brand, it's always been great feedback. So I think as long as you continue a welcoming committee here, then you'll continue to see the fruits of that labor. So continue to do what you're doing. I don't know if there's more that you can be doing at this point. Growth may come a little bit slower on the retail side, but I think that we're on the cusp. So that would be my comment there. So
Thank you for that. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, trustee Mustafa.
Thanks for coming. Nationally, we have a conundrum, a retail dilemma. Retail is not, as some of us recall years ago, it was a sure thing, and it's not that anymore. And I'm hearing the challenges that you're facing, and you're not alone, because nationally retail is sometimes doing well, sometimes floundering, but consistently challenged. And the village seeks additional income, additional revenue, because it helps us to offset our budget and offset property taxes, which don't quite match our expenses and our costs. So having said that, and this is just asking an opinion, we want retail, and I'm not disputing that. But would a village like us be better creating a destination for services, such as professional services or medical services, so that they're clustered? And we know that Flossmoor is where you go for financial services, or where you go for medical service, because those tenants stay longer, they develop a clientele, they develop a base, they're there for many, many years, but that doesn't give us sales tax.
Sure.
So what would be your response to that?
Well, I mean, I will allude to the southwest portion of Flossmoor again, because I do share the vision that it is a future mixed-use project. So I didn't mention it as I was speaking about it. I had on the presentation that there was a medical user that had approached us in the past, that it may not have been the right time, but they wanted to revisit when some of the other development had started. So I do envision those being able to work together and becoming, an area where you can have service there, you can have retail, you can have residential as well. I think it's going to be important to marry all of those assets. So, because again, especially when you get into entertainment, entertainment, which is the new term, that is the more entertainment type group, they're going to want the lifestyle aspect of it. So, I don't know if it makes any sense to put all your eggs in one basket of just looking at a service base. I think you've got the opportunity to build that draw. So you've got a great development there on the corner. Meyer being the anchor is excellent. I think it's just been, you need a champion to go come in and take, ownership
Just started
development around it. So, maybe on the cusp of starting there. So I think we're in that spot.
Okay. So the second question area I wanted to ask about, we're talking about the acreage around Meyer, which you confirmed there's a large amount of space and potential, and that would be new development. So what is your approach for working to fill that space versus Flossmoor Commons, which has management of that building, so you're working through a management company or entity. They have their own goals for filling the space. How is that working together? How are you able to do your work to satisfy what we need in open space with new development and still make some progress where it's owned by, yes.
Flossmoor Commons is extremely important to the community, so that center needs to stay active, stay connected with the community, and it's not our intention to forget about Flossmoor Commons. I would say that center would provide us opportunity in the event that a brand can't pay new construction rent. So if we do a multi-tenant center out there, developer comes out and does that, if they can't pay that new construction rent, which candidly there are a lot of brands out there that can't right now, we would then direct them to Flossmoor Commons. Maybe if it was a small enough shop of some sort, a bagel shop that has a national brand, and maybe there's a space across from Flossmoor Station that maybe you could fit them to. It just depends. So it depends on the brand, it depends on the group, and how financially they're structured. That would be the answer how we're navigating those two.
Thank you. So the third area or topic I wanted to ask about is, am I sensing at all that you're tentative in your responses? Am I missing enthusiasm? You don't seem like convicted that we're moving forward with.
No, I absolutely think so.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I made it sensitive in the beginning just because I wanted to be authentic in the feedback that we received, because I think it's important for staff to understand just what we're hearing from overall standpoint. But I do believe that we've had some really good connections as of late. I do believe that there's a future where we have. So.
Maybe if you'd been able to start with a pun, I wouldn't feel
I
that.
didn't have it. I shouldn't care.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you, trustee Rivers.
Well, I kind of like your approach because it is a slow process. We've been at it for over 30 years. It started out as an office park development. And we left it that way because we knew it was never going to be an office park, but we wanted to wait till the right opportunity came along, and then it did. And we bought the property. We've gone into bankruptcy, and the bank couldn't wait to get rid of it, and we got Meyer. So, and we've resisted all these years the auto, car washes, the auto parts. And I still think that's the right path for us. We're holding out until we get what we want. And ultimately, I think we will get that. It's just a matter of time. And it doesn't come as quickly as we would like. So I do appreciate the effort, and I do appreciate our marketing area. It is what it is, and that's what we have to deal with, and that's what everyone sees when they get the facts. But we also have to have an iron in the fire, and that is what you are for us. So without that, we're nowhere. So I think it's going to come. I'm optimistic. It's never going to move quickly, but it will move along. So I appreciate your thoughts. So we talked about the spaces next to the Flossmoor station. Where are those spaces? Across the street?
I don't think there's any today, to my knowledge, but.
Are you saying across the street?
Across the street.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I said you threw me off.
Sorry.
Something you guys didn't know about there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Great presentation.
Michelle, could I just, I'm sorry, just real quick.
Yeah.
You used an industry term of LOI, when you were talking about, no, it's okay. You said it, and I know it, but I think a lot of people may not, which someone brought up that maybe you could explain what's an LOI and what does that mean in the process of the business coming in?
Sure. So an LOI is a letter of intent. This is the first major step for a brand or developer to commit to looking at a site. So it's an integral part to the process. It is the first step, and it gets the conversation started. So that's exactly where we want to be. We want to have probably one or two more of those to really start seeing this come to life even more, and probably get a date on when we start talking about construction, etc. But I think as we get a couple more of those, that's going to be better. I think based on what we've been discussing internally and amongst the developer and some of the brands, maybe the next couple of weeks we'll continue to build upon what we started.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the great presentation.
Thank you.
All right, we do not need to go into executive session, so I'm going to call for other business. We'll start with Trustee Mustafa.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to bring up a topic seeking input and comments from other trustees, from the mayor, additional comments from Manager Whitetail. I've been approached by several residents who have questions about how Flossmoor will respond if ICE arrives in Flossmoor to execute warrants or makes collateral arrests. And most or many of you are familiar that collateral arrests occur if someone's with a person that the warrant applies to, or they're in a home and they are caught up in that process. So in response to questions and my own concerns, I emailed Manager Wachtel on January 24th, and then since then, she's been very helpful. Multiple emails have been exchanged. There have been a couple responses from our village attorney, Kathy Orr. So I thank you for engaging in this email exchange. And I asked to bring up this topic this evening and was told to feel free to do so. I forwarded a copy of my initial email individually to each trustee for information only and not for their response. So each trustee has seen my first email. And I look forward to your comments as I finish my comments right now. So just for context, my first email included these statements. I do understand that the village refrains from alarming anyone whenever possible. However, we're facing a definite possibility that Flossmoor one day may need to respond to ICE within our village limits. In addition, our residents and employees will need to know their rights regardless of where they are. I'm thinking about not just our residents who live here, I'm thinking about business owners, service people, people just coming through Flossmoor, for any various reasons. What is the plan for educating and informing all in Flossmoor? How will the Flossmoor Police Department and the Flossmoor Fire Department, if applicable, respond if ICE arrives in a school or business? And how is the village collaborating with HF High School, for example? I'm asking because residents have asked me, and because as a trustee, I certainly advocate for a village response that protects citizens' rights and avoids confusion and disruption as much as possible to our village residents, services, and businesses. So having sent that first email, Manager Wachtel responded, and these responses go to the board blind copy, so I'm hoping that everybody has read these responses. Manager Wachtel reminded the board in her email response that the law prohibits and has prohibited the police department's involvement in these matters. She responded to me also that since our role has not changed, in other words, the village's role, it would create unnecessary political attention on the village if the village issued a public statement. She added that it can remain a mayor and board decision. So during this exchange over the week, Trustee Daggett reached out to me, which I really appreciated, Trustee Daggett, about my concerns. We both agreed that the concerns expressed by Manager Wachtel are important to consider, especially in light of today's political climate. However, education for residents is also important. And how can we find the best way to provide that information? Attorney Orr also responded and clarified that under Illinois law, the village may assist ICE only if presented with a federal, and I quote, a federal criminal warrant as prescribed in the Illinois Trust Act. So this is an act passed by the state of Illinois. So after my conversation with Trustee Daggett, my additional concerns and questions are these. First, I believe that most residents are unaware of what the village's role has been. How do we inform them of the role of the police department as well as the village's role, if any? And can we provide links on our website to information from the state of Illinois or other vetted resources? We don't need to reinvent the wheel. There are resources and websites that we could hypothetically direct residents to. So also for context, District 233 and 161, the superintendents of those districts have already issued letters to families and students with comprehensive information, links to resources, and recommendations. Can we link also to those same letters? That way the village is collaborating and working with the school district so we have the same information available to all families and all residents. Or can we designate someone at the village that residents can ask for if they have a question, and then that staff member would direct residents to vetted resources, not creating our own, but resources that we have already. And will there be possibly more phone calls or inquiries if the village posts nothing? Would there be more confusion? So these are my thoughts, and I'm asking trustees to share how they feel about the letters and emails they've received. How do you feel about my comments now, and do you have some suggestions?
Thank you so much for that. I think for a little clarity, I think the first call on the attorney, Otising, for his comments.
Thank you and good evening. The village's role hasn't changed in this area. The United States government is the one that has exclusive authority over immigration laws. The village can't do anything from a board standpoint, passing an ordinance regarding immigration or giving any rights different than what the federal government has. So you have to very limited authority, generally, any government other than the federal government in the United States. In the state of Illinois, it's even less, because the state's laws, as Trustee Mustafa has said, the Illinois Trust Act specifically prohibits law enforcement in the state of Illinois in assisting the federal government in enforcing immigration laws unless there is a criminal warrant. So there's already in place policies in the police department on what to do in a situation if there is a request for assistance, and we'll follow state law. So whether the board does anything more, there are resources that a lot of places are putting out for immigrants who are here either legally or illegally, what their rights are if they are approached by federal law enforcement agencies. What more you want to do as a board, want's probably the wrong word there, but I'm going to give the legal response, kind of personal opinion on this. But the legal response is you don't have authority to do anything. If you want to provide some information, you can certainly do so. And there are good sources, both of the school district's letters from the superintendents had those resources, the links to do that if you wanted to. But I would not recommend the village board adopt any policy that tells individuals how to evade lawful enforcement by the federal law enforcement agencies. Do we do anything for any other crime that says, hey, if a police officer comes knocking on the door, this is what you should do to avoid it, to evade the law enforcement? If that's what you're thinking you want to do as a village board, I can't recommend it as a village attorney. So, giving information, resources where people can go to learn what are your rights, what documents, if you can't find your documents that you need, here are places you can go to get help. That's excellent. I don't have any problem with that, if that's what you're thinking.
So just for a last clarification, there was nothing in any of my comments that implied we would instruct, direct anyone in the way that you have alluded. There's nothing in my comment to suggest that. I only said provide information, so just to clarify.
I understand, but I don't know exactly where you're going with it, and...
Excuse me, I gave a list of bullet suggestions, and again, where I'm going is to link to vetted information, not to reinvent the wheel, to link to vetted information from other sources that have been legally published, or to link to letters that have already been distributed by the school boards. We would not ever create our own, so I want to be clear on that.
Okay, but some of those sources that you could link to have a how to avoid component to them. So I'm saying if that's what anybody at this table is thinking about, I caution against that. I didn't say you, I said the village, okay? It wasn't directed at you particularly. I'm just trying to address the topic generally from a strict legal approach.
Thank you. Director of Police Services, Carlos Stout, have we had any phone calls from any concerned folks at all?
No, we haven't.
Thank you. Village Manager Wachtel, are you aware of any phone calls from concerned folks?
No, I am not. And in fact, I will say that when the school districts put their 2 letters out to the public, to their constituents, and after speaking with the village attorney, Director Estelle, and myself, met with Dr. Wakely and Dr. Smith to ensure that they understood our role, as Attorney Addison pointed out this evening, and understood what we would do and what we would not do. suburbs, or in our school districts. And having asked, school district administrators, they are not aware for their peers as well.
Thank you. Trustee Mitros.
Am I commenting about this or just anything?
I would say commenting on trustee Mustafa's question, how do we?
I think we devote no resources to it. I have gotten no phone calls. I don't anticipate any phone calls. And any piece that we would put out is going to be disputed by someone. So, I mean, the line services, our safety services, we would help anyone. It doesn't matter if you're a citizen or a non-citizen. We're not involved. We won't be asked to be involved, and so I just see this as a non-starter. It's silliness.
Thank you. Trustee Grandstaff.
Attorney Anderson? So in your professional background, is this information housed on a website within the municipality for them to search, such as the document that Attorney Orr referenced?
I don't know of any of our communities that we represent as a firm having on their website links to the ACLU or I forget what else. There was another organization with Know Your Rights, the National Immigration Law Center. Both of those have some very good information, but I don't know villages that have links to that. You certainly can. I don't have any problem doing so. But going to the federal government immigration control centers and their information should tell you a lot about what your rights are, how you can legally come to the country, and what you can do with your different statuses that you might have if you come here.
So if we were to publicize the document information that Attorney Orr provided the board, would that be in conflict with anything? Because it doesn't, what she provided does not appear to have anything here to elude law enforcement in any way. And the superintendent's provided additional links. Would it be in conflict to just highlight that? Because I actually have received correspondence from 2 residents inquiring. So I don't know if it's beneficial to put out there or not in terms of the village's position on things, but so that people can reference information for themselves, so we can draw them to this information that Attorney Orr has put together.
And is that the January 27th, 2025 memo? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
And then there's also the guideline, I don't know what's that guideline sent to everybody, on local government, from the Attorney General's office. You know, those, we would have no problem if the board wanted to have that motion or that memo. It's just a summary of what the Illinois law is.
So you don't see any opposition just to have the information available for residents?
And, well, this is really for your law enforcement group, but it does tell, you could then educate the community about what authority done, pretty much, the local law enforcement has, and what roles and responsibilities there are. Because you might have residents who think that it's not just the federal law enforcement group that's going to be changing approaches, it's also the local law enforcement.
Right.
And so if you're wanting to give this kind of information, I'm saying, we don't, as a village, have a role in this unless there is a criminal warrant. And then we will provide appropriate assistance. That's certainly, you can do that if the board thinks it's appropriate to put on the website.
I support this mechanism, just to have it out there so as a reference point, so that people know what the village's position is in terms of we're following what the rules are.
Thank you. Trustee Gay.
So I appreciate my conversation with Trustee Mustafa, and what I communicated to her was that I also had gotten a few individuals who asked me about it. One had just come in conversation, and another one genuinely wanted to know, like, okay, they don't know, so what is the police department's involvement? And I think that's just because oftentimes as an elected official, they're going to ask because they should know. I have just read up on the Trust Act. I didn't know everything that it said. And the place that I went for that was the Attorney General, Rahul. They actually had a very, very solid explanation of the Trust Act. Also, there's something in there, I can't remember exactly what that one's called, there's another acronym, but it talks about citizens' rights and what they should do in those situations. And then it also goes into a bunch of other things as well, but that immigration is at the top of their page right now because it's kind of a discussion item. So what I did is I took it upon myself to share that information. So independently, I did that through my Facebook pages and trying to get that out to the community. But I think for me, I also read the ACLUs and read a couple of other ones, and I was trying to figure out like, what's the best information to get out there. For me personally, I found that the Attorney General's site was really, really good. And that's why I shared that one. And in other conversations, I've got personal opinions that, that's personal opinion. To me, I'm trying to share the relevant information when people have questions. And if I don't know, I just say I don't know. But that was the avenue that I chose to take, was to personally, with the reach that I have in the community, put the information, here's where we can go and get some of this. Certainly, I think if we had a link to the Attorney General's, like, here's what the Trust Act is, I would be fine with that. I do think I understand that we're limited by law in what we can and cannot do as a government body. Because all those laws are there. Whether we like it or not, it is what it is. So I think from my perspective, knowing the limitations, I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting information out when people come to me and ask for something I come across that feels relevant in doing that. The board taking I don't think the stance, but I think the caution of what information we share as a board, I think that's very important for numerous reasons. That I've had some conversation, I'd be willing to have that conversation, who wants to have that conversation. So that's my approach, is to share that information that I'm coming across that I feel like points to the information that's relevant. And it was really helpful for me to know how things will go if something does happen in our community. So that's my approach to it. I don't mind the conversation at all, but I think that's my approach.
Do you think it would be okay to post this legal document from Village Attorney Board? Would you support that?
Yeah, I do.
Thank you. Trustee Driscoll.
All right, I don't like the way kind of format here. If this was going to be an action item, then it should, or a discussion item, it should be presented as a discussion item. It shouldn't come in this format where we're just kind of bring up points. I would suggest next time if we're going to have a discussion item, it should be on the agenda so that people want to come and listen to it, they can come and listen to it. I think it's the wrong approach. That being said, to Trustee Mustafa's point, when I hear that she wanted to put links to the school boards and then said these are the vetted information from the school boards. We've had those school board members come up here and claim to be experts on human resources and stated categorically wrong information. They've come up here and they've spoken about engineering programs over in our village and been categorically wrong. So I'm talking right now. No. So we don't link them and say they're vetted. We don't know that. We haven't gone through it. We don't know what their position is. I would support Kathy Orr's paper solely. That's the only vetted one because it's vetted by us, the elected officials of Flossmoor.
Thank you so much. Trustee Mitros, would you support that?
No, I don't support it, unless their law firm gave us some kind of a hold us harmless for publishing something that they put out, because I couldn't have vetted that. Gary's read a little bit about it, but, fine, if they want to publish that, it's up to them. I don't want to publish that on our behalf, because I don't know. Maybe there's something out there, and I don't want to be liable for, offering up bad advice. I don't think it's our place. So I will vote no on it if we were to vote.
I think it's safer to link to the Attorney General's website because they are the lawyers for the state of Illinois that adopted the Trust Act.
And I don't have a problem with that. That's fine.
You have a problem with that?
Not at all, and I certainly understand Trustee Driscoll's concerns. When I listed these suggestions, it wasn't that we would do all these things, these were more questions. So definitely, we would not link to anything that we can't say is legally the way it should be handled, which would be the Attorney General, so.
Trustee Brown, is that any issues with that? Okay, thank you. Trustee Daggett? Yes.
Yes,
Trustee Driscoll?
Yes.
Okay. And then in terms of having a point person for staff, I think you might be putting staff in a bad position. They're not equipped to answer these questions, but I think a good thing to do would just be to point people to the Attorney General's website. All right. Thank you. Anything else on your list of other business?
I just briefly wanted to mention that there's a program at the library in case anybody's interested on a lighter topic. Hold on just a second. I hope I brought it with me. Yes. Alice's Ordinary People is a screening, a movie screening with introduction and Q&A by the director, whose name is Craig Dudnick. It's on February 12th in the Helen Wilson Meeting Room from 6:30 to 8. Alice's Ordinary People is a documentary about Alice Tregay, a woman who refused to stand still for injustice. Talks about her remarkable story during the period from Dr. Martin Luther King's marches until the election of Barack Obama. She contributed a lot to American politics, and she connects these two eras. It's a unique story in civil rights history, and the library is offering it in honor of Black History Month.
Thank you so much. Trustee Brown-Leastown.
I wanted to go back to Trustee Driscoll's comments about the subject matter we were just discussing as it pertains to the immigration and customs enforcement. Trustee Driscoll indicated that he wanted to see a topic like this brought up to the village board as an agenda item. And if I'm not mistaken, I talked to Trustee Mustafa about this matter as well, and she indicated that she requested, that was her request, to bring it forward as an agenda item for us to discuss and to discuss with the community at large for the reasons that you identified, Trustee Driscoll. And so I, at a point, had agenda items that I wanted to be added that were declined as well. And so I am wondering what the cadence is for trustees to get agenda items on the agenda if they are declined. Do we have a cadence of how that should be done? A mechanism that we have to have board agreement on that? Because I know that this was brought up previously and it was declined.
Well, that was really a timing issue. When Trustee Mustafa brought that up, it was, I think, the day before the agenda packets were going out. We had a key member of our staff in a very serious car accident. They were short-handed. So in order to bring it up as a discussion and make sure that we could talk about it, because it is timely, I asked trustee Mustafa if she would bring it up under other business, so that way we would still get to talk about it, even though there wasn't time to bring forward a formal agenda item. So thank you for doing that. Also, there is an ordinance about the board putting an item on the table in the municipal code.
I think it's in there, but I have no idea what it says, I'm sorry.
There's one in there.
Thank you.
Can you give us that? Find out what that is? In the first stat? Okay.
Maybe we should all get a copy of the municipal code. It's been a while.
It's online.
I know, but maybe we should get a hard copy, because we've done that in the past, and it's a nice reference piece.
We have very few hard copies.
I know.
Because keeping them up to date, we often found that people weren't inserting
I know.
or removing, and then we had code books.
Last
that
one I got
were
was
outdated.
20 years ago probably, but it was a nice reference piece.
So,
Slotting in ordinance.
most staff, and for purposes of, being transparent with the public about our code, is all available online, it's searchable. Any ordinances that are passed but not yet codified are also published online through our codification company. And so I'd be happy to share a link to this particular section of the code. But we have very, very few paper books anymore because of that reason. People were not up to date, and then we were having people reference wrong code because they weren't keeping up to date.
Who's got the hard copies? You have one in your office?
I do not.
Oh.
I support my colleague here. Sometimes we disagree, but on this, he and I have talked, we both love to have a copy, so if there's a way we can.
Needs a reference then.
We have a PDF form. There's PDF is in print.
Well, you can put it on thumb drive and then put it in our office.
Then you could go online, that's the difference.
Well, why do we do the same thing with our budget? So we get hard copies of those. So, yeah, I know. I
It's
realize.
only published once,
Yeah.
and, the code is a living document. Be happy to add hard copy codes, but that is, you'll receive the updates.
Trustee Day.
I don't know which was the second.
Trustee Driscoll.
No questions or comments?
Village Attorney. Oh, yeah, sorry, Trustee Micros.
I have no comments.
Yeah, I read your mind, I read your mind. Clerk Legado.
I just want to thank everyone again for the support of the donations for Birds of Hope, and now that the chief is here, you were in your last meeting. Thank you to the fire department and the Flossmoor Fire Department Corporation's donation. That was wonderful, and to the HR Chronicle for the features that you did for the Martin Luther King Day of Service. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Village Attorney.
One thing that was mentioned earlier tonight was an issue of public comment about potential nefarious hiding of a last-minute agenda. I don't know what you were thinking about, but the emergency declaration powers of the village president have been on the books for decades and decades and decades in the state of Illinois. Just like nationally, the president gets to declare emergencies, the governor for the state, county chairman for the counties, municipal presidents and mayors have the authority under certain conditions under state law to declare something to be a disaster or an emergency. And the only thing this board did at the last meeting with respect to that was update the village code to mirror what's in the state law.
Could I add that during COVID, we invoked those rights for the mayor the entire COVID period, however long that was. The mayor had emergency privileges that he could have invoked.
And monthly, you had to.
Yeah, and monthly we had to do
approve.
it, or every, yeah.
Correct,
Okay.
so the mayor was accountable to the village board.
And it was never used. He had the right, but no one ever used it, so.
Thank you so much. Village manager, what else? Nothing. I want to just thank everybody for their flexibility and apologize for any inconvenience that was caused by moving the last meeting from Tuesday to Wednesday. I had a personal family crisis out of state that I needed to attend to, and it ended up being very meaningful that I was able to make it. So thank you so much for your flexibility and your understanding for that matter. With that, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Yeah.